In today's video, we'll be talking about, is it worth getting a second Bismarck Two? Few people ask me about this, and I get asked this pretty much every single time there's a new UR event. Let's get this out of the way. Is it worth running two of these things? So the fast people here, probably not. I know there are some situations where you probably can run two, mainly for campaign because that's the only place you can actually run two. But most of the time, probably not. The reason why is because of this, right? If we go over here and we make a fleet, let's say you're running KMS or whatever, right? You run a fleet like FDG, Ulrich, and then you have like whatever you want in the front, right? KMS stuff, particularly something like this, right? Is probably what you want to go for. Now, what does this mean for the second fleet that you want to run? Well, for the second fleet, they're going to get buffed up probably by the Bismarck fleet. So for example, let's say you run Bismarck 1 right here, and then you run something like, I don't know, if I can find my KMS ships right here. Let's say you want to do like Peter Strasser and August von Parzival. So we go over here. And then you probably out of Vanguard, so you're probably gonna run something like, I don't know, Prince Alba or Prince Ogan, whatever you want to run. And then maybe like the Berg sisters, like Majberg and Regensburg, but actually mine's doing something else right now, so something like that. That's probably what you would probably want to run, right? I don't have a substitute, so I gotta like just make do with this for now. If we go over here, and let's say we go to a campaign map, right? Let's say you were doing like, I don't know, not 7-2, but just an example. Right, let's talk about the fleet here. So in this fleet, the first fleet right here gets powered up by Bismarck II. Firepower for everyone across the board. It's very, very nice, right? So that's really, really good. Now, the second fleet. If we were to have a second Bismarck II, what does this take away from us? If we kick out Bismarck I from this fleet, now they're going to get buffed up by firepower, yes. But this fleet won't get buffed up by Bismarck II. However, the carriers will get buffed up by the cross-fleet buff from Bismarck II in the first fleet. That's what's buffing up this fleet right here. This one, right, the Bismarck II right here, if there was one, is only buffing up your vanguards. They're not buffing up your carriers. And there's only one FDG in the game. Some of you guys may have two Ulrichs. I'm not exactly sure. You can run Turpus or something, but the options are lacking or whatever. There's Odin, there's like Prince Rupper or whatever, the new PR5 battle cruiser. There's some options there. By all means, there are options for theirs. But there are scenarios where you want to run carriers over battleships, and having a mixed variety of fleets is very, very good. Now, I'm going to tell you guys right now, when you're going to like chapters 12 and 13, unless you're very, very overgeared, you're going to have a bad time without some carriers because you're going to need that air superiority to make your life easier, especially when you get into World 13. Especially for a lot of you guys that are relatively new and you don't have fully developed fleets yet, you're going to be struggling there in that department. So as of right now, this fleet right here works perfectly fine if you're playing full KMS. You have Bismarck II buffing up your full first fleet right here with firepower, which is very, very good. She's also offering the 15% carrier buff, aviation, sorry, to your other fleet, as well as Bismarck One right here is also buffing up your carriers. So now you have double buffed up carriers for Iron Blood. It's going to do a lot of damage right here, so that's really, really good. Whereas if you have a second Bismarck right here, no one's actually getting buffed up if you're running carriers, except the fleets right here from the first Bismarck. The second one doesn't really do much right here. She has damage, obviously, but it's negligible right here. And then you're pretty much better off having a Bismarck 1 because if you want to run like Odin, Prince Rupper, now you can definitely do that. But if you're doing like World 12 and 13, there's no anti-air right there. There's like very, very low anti-air right there. There's low planes or whatever. You're going to have a bad time World 12 and 13. 14, maybe you can get away with it, but there's still some planes there as well too. You can't just run away with just like, oh, let's just do this without planes or whatever. There are planes in World 14 as well too. Not as much as 13, but there's still planes there as well. So keep that in mind. So for the most part though, Bismarck 2 is definitely not worth it for most of you guys. Some people that really, really love the faction is going to level up a second one. By all means, go for it. You also got to consider that you are paying up to 4 UR bullets as well too. Something that's very, very scarce for a lot of new players. You can only get some of these from like exchange or whatever. These are relatively expensive. It costs, or you get 1 month, or you get one per month. So you're very, very lacking on this right here. So you gotta also like decide if you want to do that. Now, up until now, when I make these videos, there's only one ship that actually is kind of worth having a second one. It was Musashi, because Musashi can make your life easier in World 14 by a large margin. Now, I'm not saying Bismarck Two can't do the same thing. She's really, really strong in that department as well too. But Musashi offers fleet protection in your backline, whereas Bismarck Two, she has wave clear, she has a black hole, she has really good utility, right? But she's nowhere near as durable as Musashi is. So it's a difficult decision by all means. You can definitely do it, but for most of you guys that are relatively new and are lacking a lot of resources, it is not worth making the second Bismarck Two. I personally just don't see another option because you can't use them Operation Siren. You can't use them for meta fights because you only use one fleet. So you're pretty much only using it for campaign. And when I think about campaign, the first 11 chapters aren't that big of a deal. Like from 6 to 11 is just battleships, and battleships can be found many ways. You don't have to play strictly KMS unless you don't want to. There's many ways to get around it. 12 and 13, there's some anti-air ships nowadays, especially with KMS. They have a couple new ones added that'll help you out. But you still need that carrier to have the air superiority to make your life much easier. Otherwise, you're gonna have a bad time. Like airspace control right here, you need that. Like you need that really badly. Like if I were to go to 12-1 right now, right? Say I turn this off, I have air superiority, right? Now let's say I don't run double carriers. Let's see where this puts us at, right? Go ahead and dump out. Now, not all these ships are geared up, I know, so bear with me here. Say I want to do Odin, I want to do Prince Rupert, something like this, right? And let's say I go back in. Where are we gonna be at now? Find out. We're gonna be at air incapacity. We're gonna have less damage. We're gonna take more damage as well too. It's just not worth your time to get a second one when you're doing chapters 12 and 13. And some of you guys are gonna be stuck here for a while, so it's just not worth it because you need the carriers there, and if you use second carrier, you're better off running Bismarck One. Now, I'm not gonna say Bismarck One is like that good. Her damage is really awful, and having the buffed up carriers is probably more or less not as worth as having a Bismarck 2 in there for actual damage and having your carriers do less damage. That is definitely true. But again, you're paying for resources like more bullets, more cog chips, more EXP stuff or whatever, time as well too, into a second Bismarck 2 where you can't use them in OS, you can't use them in meta fights, you can only use them in campaign. Alright? So I want y'all to keep that in mind. Now I'm not saying it's like an absolute no. There are some usage of second Bismarck 2 by all means. I'm just saying for most of you guys that are relatively new and don't have the resources, it is not worth having the second. Okay. So honestly, if I were you guys, just stick with this fleet right here that I designed for you guys. This last ship can be just Regensburg. And then the double battle cruisers right here that are PR can be like Peter Strasser, August von Parsifal, Graf Zeppelin. Any of those will be perfectly fine. And those are your double KMS fleets right there. All right, so just do that and you guys should be okay. The second fleet may be kind of lacking, but as carrier damage though, you're good to go. All right, so good luck to everyone. Have fun farming, and I will see you guys in the next video as always. Thanks for watching.